just checking to make sure I'm live before I start actually speaking. I think we're probably going to be good. Aren't you glad you're here for this part? If you are, you're probably not here. I don't think there's anyone here. It's alright. It's alright. Let's go ahead and... No? Alright. Well, rats. What is this message I have all of a sudden on my phone? Okay, looking like we're live. I just need to check one thing real quick, so it's about to mute for a second. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Everything seems to be working. I don't... We're live. I just need to check one thing. Nothing. Just, that's me checking to make sure the audio is working. So, let me get this link shared out, and I will be good to start. Oh wait, that should have auto-tweeted to my my account, right? Let's see. I haven't streamed in a while, so it's gonna be a slow start. I'm sorry. Edit an RT. Okay, sending this tweet out and tag the Kerbal Space Program devs, so who knows, maybe I'll get lucky and they'll retweet it. It's gone. Okay, so this is Kerbal cleanup time. That means basically when new versions of the game come out, I like to kind of go back and clean up the solar system from the old save file. It used to be a lot easier when all I had to do was just land all the missions that were flying and or make them explode, whichever. And a big part of that was getting all the Kerbals back to back home, if at all possible. We've lost a few in this one since there is permadeath now in 0.26 or 0.25, 0.25, sorry. And well, since they added contracts, I've also added the stipulation that I have to finish any hanging contracts, or fail them, one of the two. Preferably finish. I haven't failed a contract yet that I know of. I don't think I failed any. So, in this case, we are going to have to finish up our remaining contracts, which we have the plant experiment, which is ongoing in orbit already. We also have to do a bio-study on Eve, which you can see the spacecraft, well, the science spacecraft, the lander probes are already set up on this rocket here for that. And we also have to land on Duna. And we also don't have a contract for it, but we do also have a mission on its way to Elu, which I will be landing before we call this one done. But the mission to Eve is going to be manned. It hasn't left yet, but we need to complete that contract. So we are going to do that this episode, live stream, I guess. And we are also going to finish up the other missions. So that's the big task. Get all this stuff done before 0.90 comes out, or at least before I start playing 0.90. Hopefully we'll get that all done today. I've got about 2 hours here to do those. So let's get started. First things first, while the plant experiment is ongoing, we're going to be using part of that spacecraft to get to Eve, so we've got to leave that up in orbit. But it will need to bring this to Eve as well. This is a... let's zoom in and get a closer look at the science payload here. We have a... This is the surface lander for Eve. This has to set down and do some quick experiments. In this case, a pressure experiment, a temperature experiment, and on the other side, I believe, a drill experiment. Let's get the rest of the payload fairing out of here. Yes, a surface sample. Then the next probe is meant to land on the water. It's got these structural things to help it float. Hopefully, I don't actually know if that's going to work. I did a brief test run dropping this in Kerbin's Oceans, and it seemed to work. So we'll see if I can pull that off. And then this is just a sort of, it's like a switcher. It's just meant to get this into orbit and then deorbit itself after it's been mated to the spacecraft that will be taking it out to Eve. So this whole payload's about 17 tons, and now we're going to get the payoff from our previous episode of the series where we designed a whole bunch of no, I don't want to load. I want to load a subassembly. We designed a whole bunch of launcher stages that could get certain payloads into orbit. In this case, this is about 17 tons, so we want to check here, see what we can put into orbit with this. We have Kawoosh launchers, the little one for only 1.25, Tri-Kawoosh is 4 tons, Flingomax launcher is about 9 tons, and so we're going to need the Flingomax Heavy, which is 27 plus tons to low Kerbin orbit. So, don't need quite the full power of this module, but alright, so since this has the upper stage on it already, how much is this without the... Alright, so I think what we can do is we can just attach this and then take off the upper stage, since we've got that already. Alright, so Flingomax Heavy ought to be able to do the trick here. Might actually be a little bit overkill, but we'll see. We will see. That is quite the payload fairing. Yeah, that looks super weird. Let's, Yeah, this stuff can be exposed without too much issue, I think. So let's... that off. That off. This off. Reattach that. And how about there? How's that look? That's more... yeah, that looks a little more normal. Alright, so let's make sure we've got our staging set up properly. Okay. Let's make sure I can see the chat just in case anyone's actually dropped in. No one's dropped in. Yeah. Well, that was worth a shot. Hide video preview. Hide video preview, thank you. Yeah, no one's dropped in yet. So, make sure I've got the staging right. We want our launch clamps to disengage first. And we want all 3 engines to fire. What else do we have in this stage here that's doing this? Yeah, let's just redo this whole thing. So let's get rid of the launch clamps. Launch clamps. And we want our main engines on. Alright, so that's first stage. Second stage we want booster separation, so that's going to be the 6 Sepatrons. Normally in my episodes, this part's kind of fast-forwarded through, so you get to watch the sausage being made here. Alright, so that's going to be these. Alright, so third stage is going to be that, and I believe... yes, okay, so third stage is all set, and we don't want... oh yeah, fourth stage I guess will be deorbiting, so... yeah, that's probably about right. This should do the trick. I'll just be careful once we're in orbit to make sure I don't accidentally ruin everything. So let's go ahead and launch this while the plant experiment remains in orbit. To the launch pad with us. There's 149,000 for this this rocket. So we're going to hopefully collect some money back from this. And of course we've got the biolab module is going to be brought back down. That's going to get us the money we need to finish off the Eve experiment. Hopefully. Alright, so let's engage SAS. Let's see where we are. Alright, so this is, the Keystone Station is slightly inclined, though we are pretty much right under it, so let's just, it's of course on the other side of the planet from us right now. Right, so let's just go ahead and launch into an ever so slightly southeast orbit. We'll correct for that later if we get the chance. So let's throttle up, and 3, 2, 1. Throttle down to 1G. Roll program. Tilt ever so slightly to get us away from the launch pad in case something goes horribly wrong and we fall back down. Lessons learned from the Antares rocket there. Slight throttle up just above 1G, I think. Ought to be good. And it looks like everything is going very, very well here. So, clouds giving us a little bit of slowdown, but nothing too bad. I'll just look at the ground while we do that so that frame rate stays nice and high. Entering the clouds now. Rocket looking good. This model is inspired by the Delta IV Heavy that launched the Orion last week. That was a very exciting couple days. Clearing through the clouds now. Approaching 8,000. Going to begin our gravity turn here as we break 9,000. 10,000. Throttle up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bit of wobble there. Let's just cut the SAS. We are flying this by hand now. Continuing our turnover. Roll ever so slightly. Booster step. I think we can re-engage the SAS now that the boosters are off. And we're down to 1 mainsail. Throttling up the rest of the way. Breaking 23,000. Trying to follow our velocity vector here. Let's see how this orbit's shaping up. I have somehow gone north. How did I go north? I cannot believe I screwed that up that badly. Oops. Oops. Alright, so we're bringing this at least back down into a somewhat equatorial orbit there, I think. We'll be able to fix this later. Hopefully. And 112. Alright, 112 should be good for this. Let's add a maneuver here. And there's a circular orbits. Alright, that's our maneuver. That's a 19-second burn at our apoapsis. Let's go ahead and jettison the payload fairings. Make sure we're getting power in our module there. We don't have very good control right now because we still got so much of the booster attached. That's not too big a deal. We're just going to let this gently turn over without SAS on, and then we'll try and arrest the motion once it's closer to the node here. Fun times. when you don't have much torque, you just want to get the thing moving and then cut the SAS off, so you just sort of drift in the direction you want to go. It's a little bit easier to maneuver the big heavy rockets without the SAS than with it. Alright, got SAS back on, trying to lock in on this vector here. It's going to be interesting in 0.90 not being able to use SAS at all with probes. I'm hoping that's something that unlocks as you upgrade the your space center. We will see. We will be doing another hard mode career in 0.90 once that is released. Let's get on that vector. All set. Time accelerate. And 3, 2, 1, reignition. Alright, so we're going to watch here, and once we're pretty much in orbit, we're going to cut the throttle, drop the booster, and switch to our next stage. Stage and finish off this maneuver. No reason to leave extra debris this late in the game. Alright, so we have 118 by 112. Could be better, but not bad. Screwed up the inclination of that orbit quite a lot, though. That's probably going to come back to bite me later. We'll see. Alright, so ditch the booster. And everything seems to be in order. Let's just check on, make sure that we have... that this isn't going to lose contact or anything. We have power, parachutes, no lights because I always forget to put lights on these things. And we have our tugboat here that will be able to get this to our other spacecraft. Okay, so we're going to leave that in orbit while the plant experiment is running. Let's go ahead and switch back to the plant experiment. Actually, let's go ahead and get back to the Space Center. So, the rest of the Eve module is going to consist of pretty much entirely fuel. Since we're going to be using that little tugboat that we designed that has 4 nuclear engines. Let's get a new spacecraft. We're going to be using that tugboat that has 4 nuclear engines, so the ship we're going to send up to mate with that is going to be almost entirely fuel, plus it is going to have one of these hitchhiker storage containers, because these have 800 snacks, which I think will be enough for the mission. I hope it'll be enough. We're going to take all the snacks that are on the space station, all the snacks that I can fit into everything on that, and hope for the best. And we're probably only going to take 2 Kerbals, I think. Yeah, two's probably enough. So this is going to be our payload for this. This is 3.3 tons. I need to write that down somewhere, actually. Alright. Because we'll need that for some math in a bit. Oh, also it's going to need a control. Well, I guess I can... That'll probably be on the whatever I launch it with, right? These all have probes. Does not have a probe? It does not have a probe. Oh, right, I was putting that in the, Right, so it will need a probe. I'll add that. It'll probably be on the stage that pushes this into orbit rather than on this itself. So that will be factored in at a later date. In the meantime, let's get back up to space. Nobody's watching. That's okay. I don't care that nobody's watching. I'm having fun. Alright, let's get back up to space. Now we are going to need the no, not the biostudy module. We want to go to the space station. And we want to finish up this plant experiment so we can start bringing everything together for the Eve mission. So of what we have here, only this middle piece is going to Eve. The rest of this, this whole bit down here is going to get deorbited once this plant experiment is finished. And this part up here is going to remain in Kerbal orbit as a space station. We'll deorbit this afterwards as part of the cleanup. But this will not be going home with us. Actually, we might... Yeah, I might deorbit that before we head out to Eve. We'll see. So we'll definitely be landing this part. So let's get that pointed away from the surface so we can time accelerate. Cannot warp faster than this. Let's see, how fast are we getting Eurekas? Not fast enough. This could take some time. So let's go ahead and jump out to the Elu probe, since this is on its way out of the solar system. Looks fantastic, by the way. Still getting plenty of power. Yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. Alright, let's go ahead and fast forward this out of the system, since this can time accelerate significantly faster than our last spacecraft. There we are. Alright, let's get this into interstellar space. Or interplanetary space, sorry. Alright, here is our frame shift coming up. Frame shift, where'd I get that word? I don't even play... What is it? That other game. Here we are. We have changed our frame of reference to the sun. And we still have our Elu encounter. Excellent. That's going to be enough for that. So let's switch back to Kerbal. Focus view. And get back into our space station. Alright, so that was roughly a day. So let's see how much more science we got done. I think 5 more. So let's... 5. I need 20 more. So let's fast forward 4 days. Add alarm. I just want a hard time alarm. Where do I get that? Raw time alarm. Okay. Let's do 4 Kerbal days. Okay, and we're going to switch back to... Let's switch to the Duna probe. Jump to ship. Check on the Duna probe, see how this is going. Things look like they're going well. So let's go ahead and fast forward that 4 days and see what we can't do. There we go. I am still broadcasting everything? Yes, I am. Alright. So let's see, is the plant experiment finished? Yes, it is. Let's finalize those results. Keep the data. Alright, first I did forget one thing with our Elu probe. So let's jump out to that. We need to set an alarm for the Elu probe entering Elu's sphere of influence. Alright, so let's add SOI change alarm, Elu entering Elu. That's going to be 5 years in the future as far as the game is concerned. That's ridiculous, but kind of awesome. So we'll definitely be finishing everything else up first. So that will certainly be the last thing we do. Right, back into the space station. So first things first, let's get this module home. Now you want to land that over the continent, so we're going to get into the sun side and then work on fine-tuning our landing after we deorbit here. Alright, so how much power does this guy have? Let's go ahead and activate the fuel cell and decouple. Alright, watch as the station gracefully drifts away. Okay, so our landing target's probably going to be on this continent. I definitely want to land during the day, so I think we're going to... Our next pass ought to take us over just kind of east, I think. So let's get around to our periaps and then work on deorbiting. Alright, these operate on monopropellant, don't they? Let's go ahead and turn those on then. Let's make sure we're not drawing monopropellant out of the stores up in this part of the craft. Oh, there are no stores in that part of the craft. Alright. I guess that's fair. So let's just get our maneuver here so we can... Oh, we're already pointed along the proper vector. Perfect. Let's just go ahead and shut down this engine. Even though it has no fuel, we know we don't need it. Alright. Okay, time to bring this thing down. Let's close the alarm clock, bring up trajectories. Make sure we are showing our trajectory. And let's see what kind of landing zone we can get. Too many iterations? What is that supposed to mean? Oh, right, that was a double pass there. Whoops. Alright, that's going to do for this attempt. We want to kind of come down in this stretch here. This is all overland, which is perfect, because once we detach, we're actually going to wind up coming down a little bit sooner than that. So let's go ahead and fast forward around to where we enter the atmosphere. Keep an eye on our items here. We don't want to run out of electric charge. We've entered the atmosphere already? Alright, we've got plenty of electric charge because we have a power module on board. Because I thought ahead for once. I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud. Alright. Alright, so I just have to get this onto the ground and we're good. Why is it showing me those? Go away. I don't know how I hit that, but I apparently hit that, so it happens. Let's go ahead and decouple that. Okay, so we are staged properly. Let's check on our trajectory, make sure we're still coming in over ground. Yes, looks like a nice mountain landing. That could be a problem. Nothing I can do about it now. Hopefully the parachutes will bring us down more in this area than that. Let's just fast forward a little bit until we start hitting the serious re-entry effects. I know what I'm doing. Alright, still pretty high up in the atmosphere. We haven't felt the significant effects of re-entry just yet. I think we can go ahead and get rid of trajectories here. We know we're coming in over land. Trying to keep us... we don't have any lift on this, so we can just kind of angle down into the atmosphere. This piece acting as a heat shield is pretty much entirely for show. I don't have deadly re-entry, so... But it looks way cooler than just dropping the probe in and letting it catch fire from appearances. Alright, we've entered the thicker parts of the upper atmosphere. Still quite a ways to go before we start seeing re-entry effects. That'll be around 30,000. Probably actually about 33, 34. There's a nice big peak right here. There we go. Alright, camera's reoriented. It knows we're coming in now. Our orbit has decayed enough that it has become a re-entry as far as the game is concerned. Flashing over this nice big sea. I guess these are probably going to get names now from the fine print mod, aren't they? There's a lot of these locations have, you might wind up flying to them for fine print stuff. Which is part of the stock game coming up. That's going to be awesome. Looking forward to seeing some of those. Lots of good ways to earn money early in the game. Especially if you're a decent pilot. Reasons to build airplanes, which is always appreciated. Alright, so back down to real time on this re-entry now. So at 36,000 feet, looking like we're going to be landing right about here. 36,000 meters, I'm sorry. Which would be right about 100,000 feet. So we're roughly at weather balloon height here on if this were Earth. I've only been involved in one weather balloon launch. That was only got up to about 90,000 feet, but it was a bad day, okay? Actually, it was really fun. We chased the thing halfway across North Carolina to catch it. And I even got to see it falling back down. So, pretty rare. Oh, starting to see some re-entry effects, I think. Just a slight glow. There we go. Definitely seeing some now. Let's disable SAS. Now this vehicle's aerodynamic stability will keep it on the retrograde vector. At least I think it's aerodynamically stable. I tried to put most of the mass toward the front so it would fall in this direction. That's why the power supplies are at this end. Still generating heating effects. Once we drop below about 500 meters per second, we'll jettison the heat shield and pop the parachutes. Here we go. I love that moment. That's the best moment. Alright, looks like we're going to be coming down in a bit of a forest, but that is good. That means we're not on that mountain over there, which is where I thought we were going to land. Plant experiment pod looks intact. The plant's experiencing gravity for the first time since they were seeds. It's coming down through the cloud layer now. Don't have any engines on this. This is landing entirely on those parachutes and these landing legs. So hopefully that will slow it down enough that we don't break our probe core, so we can get some good money back on that. We'll see. We'll see. Here we... What? The parachutes pop unevenly? How did that get set to 1150? Alright. Got both parachutes going now. Somehow I messed that up. So let's go ahead and time accelerate down to the surface since this is going to take a bit. Those should not have gone off for quite some time. I must have accidentally right-clicked it at some point while we were in space. Looks like we're going to land at 4.8 meters per second. Should be more than capable of landing on those legs at that speed. Nice big forest here. This is one of the higher density terrain scatter regions I've seen. I love the trees though, they look pretty good. I mean, it's just a bunch of 2D sprites slapped together, but looks better than forward-facing sprites, that's for sure. This looks far better than the trees in Train Simulator, I think is what I'm getting at there. So far, better luck than my weather balloon. We did not land in a tree. So that was the rough part of that particular recovery. Successful landing! Okay, that was pretty darn cool. Stayed upright and everything. Let's see what we get for this. Still got no viewers. I'm so sad. Sorry, YouTube will get to enjoy this. YouTube shall have it. Alright, so we've got 30 signs from our plant growth data in space near Kerbal, and a vessel from orbit. 25.5 signs earned. And here's our funds. We've got 3,000 from recovered parts, bringing us up to 366,000 funds thanks to that contract being completed. 226,000. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Alright, next part of the cleanup. We are going to dock the space station, or we're going to dock the booster part of the station with the Eve Biostudy module. Okay, so first things first here. What do we have in that? That's oxygen. This is all snacks, I believe. Yeah. So you got lots of fuel? You do have lots of fuel. Alright. I think, how about the two named Kerbals? No, I want Filmy to go, so it'll be, I think, Sean Kerman and Filmy Kerman will be the ones who go to Eve. So let's transfer Alan to the cupola module. Transfer Filmy and Sean. That's probably how I messed up that parachute. And they will be in the command pod. Let's make sure everyone has snacks. Alright, topping off the snacks in this command pod before we disconnect from the station. And we're going to go ahead and deorbit the station while we're here. Bring Alan back down. So we're not going to need that in orbit anytime soon. Alright, so that will be our first mission here. Let's just, they're not doing any research. So let's get all the snacks into the upper part of this spacecraft, the part that will survive re-entry. And let's bring them down. These have plenty of RCS? Yes, they do. So let's go ahead and we want to control from here. And we're going to undock. So we're going to fast forward to our apoapsis. And bring this into deorbit. We don't really care where this lands, so we're just going to go for the most efficient deorbit since we're going to be using RCS thrusters for this. I need to get in the habit of sticking RCS engines on this stuff for deorbiting later. Next time. Next time. Oh, are there Sephitrons on this? There might be Sephitrons on this. Color me surprised. I was prepared. Alright. Let's get this onto the prograde vector and start burning retrograde. Other retrograde. There we go. It's very slowly bringing our orbit down. This might take some time. Let's alt. So we are fast forwarding slightly. Fast forwarding quite a lot. There we go. We have re-entered the atmosphere on this pass. There we go. That's definitely coming out of orbit. Have I run out of fuel? No, I have not. I want to land on the day side if I can. I clicked out of the screen for a moment and it did not continue to burn. Right. Let's make sure the, yeah, okay. So it looks like we're going to be going for a splashdown here. I think that's probably the best idea. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to clear this whole ocean. Splashdown it is. Right. Now we just get to watch as the, now we get to watch this from, our re-entry here. Yay. Alright, so second part of the Kerbal cleanup, we are bringing the space station out of orbits, and then we will head for Eve. We'll probably get to Duna first. That ship will probably arrive before the Eve mission either leaves or even gets there. Alright, so we are in the atmosphere. Point retrograde, so we're burning nicely and efficiently. No one likes a tumbling spacecraft, you know? So everyone loves seeing solar panels break off, so I'm leaving those out. Let's see what Filmy's view is. Sorry, Alan Kerman. Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Antenna there. Kind of like that. I almost want to do the whole re-entry from this point of view. I had a viewer and they left already. I'm sad. I'm so sad. Goodbye, one viewer. I'll remember you. So a slow re-entry on this one, of course, but that is how they go. Let's go ahead and time accelerate this up till we start hitting the really rough parts of the atmosphere. Alan Kerman bouncing around in his seat. He seems to be having a good time. He might be a badass, I do not know. Okay, so I don't have Sepatrons on here. That was part of the other spacecraft, I guess. And it just got stuck on there. Trying to keep us on the retrograde vector while we enter the atmosphere. That'll keep Alan Kerman the most comfortable. I don't know why I'm still talking so much. There's no one watching. I'm probably going to trim this part out of the YouTube version. I don't know. If there is a YouTube version. There'll be a YouTube version. There will definitely be a YouTube version. Hopefully an edited YouTube version. Possibly just... I'm probably going to throw this up in its entirety before the end of the night and then go in and edit it down later for easier consumption. I don't know why anyone would watch the full multi-hour broadcast, but it is super easy to export to YouTube, so I will. Here we go, re-entry effects hitting in earnest now. Somehow the solar panels are still connected. That's pretty impressive. There goes one. And they're all gone. Goodbye, solar panels. I'll miss you. No, I won't. I lied. Just go ahead and... Nope, I can't. I can't retract them now that they're broken. I was like, I was going to go ahead and close the hatches on there, but nope. Nope, nope, nope. One of Kerbin's many oceans stretching out beneath us. This has been in orbit for 202 days. According to this, I think it's actually been more than that. The game's not very good at keeping track of mission elapsed time when you are docking and undocking from various spacecraft. Alan looking a little bit worried. Goodbye, space station. You served us well. I did get everyone off of that, right? Yeah. Yeah, probably. Pretty sure. 99%. Sure. Let's try not to think about that. Alright. Might have been some baby krakens on board, I don't know. That looks a little weird, but that was the only good spot I could get the parachutes on here that didn't look terrible when they were closed as well. So fingers crossed this splashes down gently enough that he survives. It's probably something I should have tested at some point. I'm assuming with 4 parachutes it's going to touch down very, very gently. But the cupola module is not known for being particularly hardy. We are 4.4 meters per second. It should survive that. Anything can survive 4.4 meters per second hitting the ocean. 4.3 even. Enough that this is still agonizingly slow, even fast-forwarded. Alan looks thrilled. "20 meters off the surface. Here we go. Splashdown imminent. And he's fine. This looks like the seat from which you could drive Kerbal now. Just like poking out of... Let's see what that looks like from in there. Oh, he's entirely under the water, apparently. What's underwater look like? Underwater looks remarkably like above water. Alright. Let's recover the spacecraft. Pity I don't get bonus points for recovering something that was in orbit for that long. Return from orbit around Minmus, right. That is a thing that did at some point. 1,000 funds from recovered parts. Crew, Alan Kerman, in good situation there. Right. Let's get out to Eve. First things first, we need to bring the tugboat and the Eve Biostudy module together. We're going to fly this from the tugboat, because the tugboat has considerably more fuel, and will be deorbiting itself afterwards. Whoops, nope, wrong one. I mean, we want to fly this from the Biostudy module, for the reasons stated above. Let's also close trajectories here. Don't need that. Alright, so our target, Tugboat 1, set as target. Let's see, we are a bit ahead of it, so we really just need to kind of slow down our orbit and, well, let's get on the same plane first. Then we'll worry about that. That actually looked like a really close encounter. What was that? Wait, what's this encounter then? That's pretty impressive, considering. Alright, that will set this periapsis at 77. 77's doable. Let's go for that. And we shall adjust orbits as needed to get an intercept there with one with our spacecraft. Maneuver node. Go, go, go. We've still got 285 days before the Eve window even opens. So I might see if I can get a high energy transfer to Eve in the meantime. But our best bet's probably to wait for the window. Actually, this is the higher part of the orbit is probably a better place to meet that. Oh, look at that encounter that we had there for a second. Look at that. Look at that. That's, what, 3 kilometers? And we can get better than that? Let's... That's not better. Why does it go away? Okay, sorry. I clicked something by accident. .1 kilometers. 3.8. 3.1. That looks like as good as what we're going to get. Let's go for that maneuver instead. Single pass encounter. That's pretty awesome, honestly. I could not ask for better. I'm not sure I could even accomplish better. Alright. Let's get these docked up, and then we'll figure out how much fuel we need. Kerbal flying past beneath us as we hurtle around towards our maneuver node. All of our resources doing just fine. Lots and lots of batteries on board. Close alarm. Close alarm clock. What's our separation? 4.6. Close enough. Thought I closed trajectories. There we are. Let's add our closest approach alarm and fast forward to that. And luckily that's on the morning side, so we'll have pretty much an entire day to actually approach and dock with the other spacecraft before we have to worry about our solar panels not being not restoring our power. Alright. Close alarm. Where's our target? There it is. It's beneath us. So let's, our relative vector will probably be in this direction. Or relative retrograde, anyway. Yes, there we are. Must slow faster, must slow faster. Come on, come on. No, it's getting away. It's getting away. Come on. Close, close. There. Alright, let's kill the rest of our relative velocity here. And let's start closing the gap. Alright, so we're closing at 20 meters per second. We'll need to do another braking maneuver when we get close. Get us pointed retrograde once more. Relative retrograde, anyway. Alright. Still getting closer, I think? Yeah, still getting closer. Right, let's boost towards it again. And try and close this gap here a bit more before we decouple the upper stage motor and deorbit that. Spinning back around now. Alright. Okay, let's... This should be the last braking maneuver we have to do. Let's get closer, closer, closer. There it is. Alright, let's zero out our velocity entirely before we disconnect here. Zero out our relative velocities anyway. Alright. Let's decouple that node, switch back to... No, switch back to... Yes, this. Alright, so that's going to deorbit itself now. Lights on. Let's point to this, due south, I think, is probably a good idea. Okay, let's get these docked. So once we have these docked, we'll know what our payload weight is going to be. Well, our payload mass, I mean. And we'll be able to calculate out how much fuel we'll need to get up to this spacecraft to get it to Eve and back with minimal aerobraking. And that's going to be an important part of... that's going to be math. That's what that's going to be. It's going to be math. So much math. But I've already done most of the math. I just need to plug in a couple numbers. So that will be fun when we get to that. Alright, approaching nice and carefully here. I do not want to bump the instruments and break anything. We're going to be connecting this to the nose of the spacecraft because it's fairly lightweight. That'll let us put the fuel on the back docking node. Let's make sure the lights are off on that. Let's make sure the lights are on here. Control from here. And set that as my target. Alright, let's come in above it. Alright, nothing's rotating, nothing's rotating. Wouldn't be rotating anyway since I just time warped. But we do get phantom horses every now and then. Broken thrusters, I guess, is probably the good in-universe explanation for it. Let's kill our relative velocities. Alright, so just doing this delicate little dance right here as we attach the Eve Biostudy module. Alright, this should be set for docking. Alright. Hands off. Nope, not hands off. And... no, that's not quite it yet. Yes, okay, hands off from here. I think we'll have it. I think that's Minmus in the far distance right here. Looks good. Looks very good. And, nope, yep, nope, yep, there we go. Alright, Eve Biostudy module is connected. And we have to be very careful not to use RCS as much as possible. Oh good, I've already disabled those. That way, because I need these RCS jets for maneuvering at Eve. Let's turn the lights off. And the lights off. Perfect. Perfect, 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 perfect. Okay. Let's see what our mass is. This is 37.73 tons. So let me write that down. Let me find my pen. There's my pen. 37.73. Right pen. Thank you. 37.73. Brings us to 41.03 tons payload weight. Alright, so let's do math. Here, let me bring y'all in on this. That ought to do it. Let's make sure this camera's pointing in the right direction and isn't going to freak out on me. This thing's a little hot, actually. That's concerning. No one's watching, but I'm still going to do this. Right. Okay, so here is the math we've got so far. This is the basic rocket equation that we have to calculate how much delta V you get out of a rocket. And we're going to, we already know how much delta V we need, so we're just going to rearrange this to figure out how much fuel we need rather than that. So what you have here, this is, no one's watching, so I'm going to explain math to nobody. You have delta V is natural log of the wet mass of the rocket, which is the total mass, plus divided by the dry mass of the rocket, which is the mass of the rocket minus the mass of the fuel. And that's multiplied by the specific impulse times the gravitational coefficient, or the gravitational acceleration of the planet you calculated the specific impulse for, which in this case is Kerbal, which has the same gravity as Earth. And so you can rearrange that equation to get the delta V divided by the specific impulse multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity is equal to the natural log of wet mass over dry mass. And then you can just raise both, make left side power of e, and that gets rid of the natural log. So you have e to the power of your needed delta V over the specific impulse of your engine multiplied by gravity is equal to the ratio of your wet mass to your dry mass, which we're going to call x, because that is what Bill Fitch called it when he did this on his channel, and I'm using the same equations he did. And so you can represent the wet mass as the payload mass plus the fuel, and then you can represent the dry mass as payload mass plus 1/9 of your fuel mass, which is what the tanks weigh when they're empty. Or, you know, the mass of the tanks when they're empty is 1/9 of the mass of the tanks when they're full. And so then we can just represent that x is dry mass plus fuel mass over dry mass plus 1/9 of the fuel mass. And that gives us that the fuel mass is equal to your dry payload multiplied by the by x, which we've already determined is e to the delta V over specific impulse times gravity, and that's divided by 1 minus x over 9. So we can plug in our mass, which we just calculated is 41.03 tons, and I already calculated x for this in earlier, so that's our specific impulse is 800 seconds since we're using nuclear engines. The desired delta V, as we're going to even back, so that's 2300. You can see that in the chart to the left, our cheat sheet for how much delta V you need to go to Eve. Roughly 2300 meters per second. We're going to be doing a little aero braking, but I'm going to still have almost enough delta V to get there and back without anything else. And then, so we're going to need about 4600 meters per second delta V. Got that here. The gravitational acceleration on Kerbal, 9.8 meters per second, and payload mass. So let's plug that in and see what we get. Alright, math time. Alright, so 1.795 d 41.03. Parentheses 41.03 tons multiplied by, that's our x, which is 1.7981 minus 1, so let's take the 1 out because I'm smart like that and can do that in my head. I can subtract 1 in my head. I am so proud. Alright, and we're going to divide that by 1 minus x over 9. Minus 1.7791 over 9. Close all the parentheses and do the math. By do the math, I mean run a calculator. So we need roughly 41 tons of fuel, according to this, 40.921755, and you always want to err on the side of caution and go up a bit. So let's get into the Space Center. 41 tons. Exciting, exciting math. Alright. Right, let's design the spacecraft. I've got roughly 20 more minutes before I leave here. So we'll design the spacecraft and pick this up later. So we already determined that we are going to need a hitchhiker storage container, a probe control unit. That'll probably be on the other part. So we're going to need a structural. Heck, let's just stick a docking port on this and call that a day. The under utility, docking port. Definitely going to need to be one that can do fuel. Where are my docking ports? Am I missing something? Nope, I did not go far enough to the left. That's right. Clampatron. Clampatron. And 40 tons of fuel. So this might be a problem because my best launch stage, which is the Flingamax Heavy, is 27 tons. I need 40 tons of fuel, so it's going to take 2 launches. Oh yeah. Right. Right. This is the best way to get 40 tons up. Let's do 2 launches. One is going to be 27 tons of fuel, plus this thing. And the other is going to be 9 tons of fuel. So we need to remember to put a second docking port on this so we can attach it. Emulsion. Right, so we need 27 tons of fuel. That is 18, 18, 18, 36. That's too much. Let's do 18 and 4.5, 22. Where's the other Rockamax tank? Here we are, 9, 18 and 9, 27, perfect. Oh wait, that's too much because we got rats. I forgot about the hitchhiker storage container. Let's do this, and then we'll put the rest of the fuel on the other rockets. We do need another docking port. I really wish I had the Clampatron Seniors. Actually, let's see if I can unlock Clampatron Seniors before we go. Just to make sure we have the best chance of completing this as possible. We have 247 science. I don't think that's enough. Would that be under these? No. This? No. 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 Oh, Clampatron Jr. Rats. So it's probably the next one up. So I'd need like 800 science to do that. Well, let's see how much science we get out of our Duna mission. And then we'll try launching, because the Duna mission's going to land well before we can take off on our Eve mission. So that's 149 days. We don't want to be using up, we really don't want to be using up snacks in that amount of time. What? How did I... How many snacks is that going to use? Well, we'll call this a dry run. So this will tell me 150 days how many snacks they're going to use. And that should be important information. So that has 486 snacks. Let's bring that up And fast forward till we get to Duna. There's actually someone watching now. I'm sorry. Person watching. Alright, coming up on Duna now. It's going to be a fun part of this is going to be landing on Duna, and then I'm going to leave. And that's going to be it. But here we go. So we went through roughly 170 snacks in 150 days, so it looks like roughly a snack a day. So hopefully the 800 snacks will be enough for a couple years. Maybe. Where's Duna? Is that Duna? I don't think that's Duna. Where is Duna? Duna should be off to my right somewhere. And easily visible. There it is. Excellent. Alright. Let's get into Duna's sphere of influence, and then we can start working on getting down to the ground. Alright, so let's burn due north. So why can't I rotate? Ah, right. All of our rotating power went with that last module. Oops! I didn't put an SAS unit on here. Rats. Rats, rats, rats. So we need to burn left. Yeah, left, left, left. That worked remarkably well. Alright, let's turn that off. Display our trajectory once more. Am I seriously out of monopropellant? No. It's just slow to react, is all. I've got tons of monopropellant. Let's get ourselves onto a good aero braking maneuver here. Alright, that should aerobrake us into the atmosphere. Let's put a maneuver node right here, add an alarm for that. And that's where we're going to bring in our solar panels, get everything turned on for the re-entry. Well, for the entry, our first entry into Duna. Okay, so let's find some power. Do I not have power? I don't think I have power. Right. I do have power. It's all used up because I'm retarded, apparently. And left that on. That was smart of me. Alright, oops. Right, that one's completely depleted as well. Great. Just great. How did I pull that off? Alright, so hopefully I've got enough batteries on all these things that I won't lose everything. Alright, this is going to be a very steep profile. Probably going to do quite a lot of re-entry effects here. We'll see when that happens. Let's go and enter the atmosphere. I might have screwed this up royally already by destroying my power generating capacities. Did I at least leave some solar panels on the that are not... No, I didn't. There are no regular solar panels. Just... Okay, so I have to hope the batteries last to through re-entry. Here we go. Alright, there's the re-entry effects. As we race across the Duna landscape here. Most excellent indeed. I don't know how long a Kerbal year is. I probably should find that out so I know how long it's going to take us to get to Eve and back. I need to plan for like a 5-year trip. So I might need to actually send more snacks up than they have. Oh, I think we are through the atmosphere. That doesn't look right. No, we're still pretty deep in the atmosphere, so we're still slowing down quite a lot. I trust the trajectories mod. It has yet to steer me wrong. Come on. I'm definitely going to have to trim this orbit up a little bit more because we're going to be awfully close to Ike if I leave it where it is. Supposedly we're going to get captured here soon. This, seems wrong. So we're out of the atmosphere now, aren't we? Yeah, we are out of the atmosphere. Let us get rid of the display trajectory and just work on getting ourselves into a capture orbit. Shouldn't take too much more delta V. That was a pretty good aero brake. Yeah, there we are. Let's get our solar panels back out so we can start getting battery power once more. For crying out loud. I'm not in the atmosphere anymore. Why is it still acting like this? There we are. Alright, let's burn a little bit towards Duna, try and bring our orbit out of the atmosphere for the second pass. Alright, so we've got our periapsis out of the atmosphere. Apoapsis is still pretty far out there, but not bad at all. We're going to do another braking burn here, I think. We want to get into low Duna orbit. Before we drop off our lander. How am I doing on battery power? Still alright battery power. Let's get our SAS back on, lock in on this maneuver node, and perfect. Let's get out. Alright, I think that counted for our... Yes, we are in orbit around Duna. That was one of our parameters. Let's see what the rest are. I want to make sure we're doing these right. And let's just go ahead and close this for now. Transmit or recover scientific data from space around Duna. Easy peasy. Okay, so let's get our... what instruments can we do in this part of the atmosphere? Let's observe some mystery goo. Log magnetometer data. We can transmit that. We're going to keep the mystery goo observation. Okay, so we do have another mystery goo and another experiments or another materials study for low Duna orbit. So let's go ahead and do these. View data. Let's go ahead and transmit that. Let's see. That's for low orbit. That is bad planning. This is... Let's log the visual observations. Excellent. That can get us full science. That is 18 minutes. Let's get our battery to recharge a bit. Alright, battery charged. Transmit. That was worth a shot. Let's drill sample. This is a magnetometer. We've already done one of those. Materials bay, a thermometer. Doesn't work at this altitude. Alright. Let's get fast forwarded around to our maneuver node. So this should have enough fuel for this. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's only 200 some meters per second. Don't need very much. Close alarm. Yeah, I've got plenty of fuel for that. Alright, next objective, land on Duna and then do science experiments from Duna. Let's close that. Here we go. Burn. Alright, we are in orbit. No, we are not. Stupid. Alright, let's... New... Hell. It's gonna do this to me now? Really? I really hope that bug is gone in the next version. Alright, let's set our... Let's set an alarm for apoapsis. Alright, so just have to boost our orbit back up to back up out of the atmosphere, because somehow I screwed up that that maneuver node because I wasn't paying enough attention to when I was burning. And sometimes things like timing are actually kind of important. That's good. Alright. Let's get around to the sun side. There we go. Power's good. Power's good. Let's do some low Kerbal orbit, or low Duna orbit experiments. Log data. Transmit. Collect particles. Transmit. Observe material bay. Excellent, excellent. Transmit. Transmit data. Log visual observations. Ooh. Let's just wait for our battery to recharge a bit. Transmit. Observe the mystery goo. Recharge our battery. Transmit. Okay, that is everything we can do in orbit. And that is going to be it for me today. Thank you, one person, for watching. I will finish this up later on. I have to go somewhere at the moment, so I will be back later. This is going to go up on YouTube. Expect the rest of the Kerbal cleanup either tonight or tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening.